I think it's a good thing I don't have enough time in the show to give everybody an individual grade.
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Holkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC your first listen every day. Whether you're watching on YouTube or wherever you're going to download this podcast, we are free. I appreciate your support. You can show yours. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button, and do not miss one episode. Hit that bell notification button, and you are Locked On USC 5 times a week, sometimes even when it's late. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. First of all, I want to apologize. This episode is getting up late. I'm out here in Arizona. I'm staying in a location that I don't know how this happened. 6 cell towers that were affecting AT&T's coverage went down at the same time that my Wi-Fi went down. I was living in the Stone Age. I apologize. Grade me however you want, because it'll be the theme of the show. You can look up the rundown. Offensive grades, first segment. Defensive. It says defensive better. It should say the defense needs to get better. And the third segment, I'm going to do a quick rundown of USC's drop in the AP poll. So here we go. I know you've all been waiting for this. All right, look, there were a handful of players who graded well, and those guys would love to bring home their report card to mom and dad. However, collectively, as a team, the position groups, best way to put it, positive spin, up and down. So let's just say some groups graded out better than others. I'm going to start with Caleb Williams. He was the quarterback position against Arizona State. He was pressed into playing the entire game against a team that he should not have had to play an entire game against. Let's just be honest here. USC was a 34-point favorite heading into that game. Offense did not perform like it. And look, I understand it was their first road game of the year. It was a little warm outside, sellout crowd. And look, for Caleb, as far as his grade is concerned, I think there were times he looked a little uncomfortable. He has that fumble. There was the communication error between him and Marshawn Lloyd at the handoff. Bunch of delay of game situations. I know that he had a few drops from his wide receivers that were being mixed in there. There are other times that, it just didn't look like he was confident going downfield against the coverage. So when you look at Caleb's numbers, they're still really impressive despite only completing 65% of his passes. Yes, that was sarcasm. He still threw for 322 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and he added 2 more touchdown runs by himself on the ground. I'm going to give him a B+. I'm probably being a little kind here. Could have probably dropped it down to a B. But without Caleb Williams, this team is a mess. So he gets a little bit longer leash than anybody else, despite not looking as well as he could have. The running backs, both of them who played, Marshawn Lloyd, Austin Jones, they combined for over 180 yards on the ground. Austin Jones carried the ball 3 times for 36 yards. That's 12 yards a pop. Marshawn Lloyd was even better. 11 carries, 154 yards, 11-yard average. I mentioned Lloyd's blemish was the mix-up with the handoff. Look, I said it first on Sunday. Lendale White backed me up, apparently, on Twitter on Monday. He agrees. When your run game is averaging 11 yards per carry, you need to run the ball more often. USC didn't. I'm still giving the running back group a grade of an A. I thought they were the best-looking group on offense. The offensive line, I'm going to use it again. They had an up-and-down day. When they were run blocking, they were really, really good. In fact, Mason Murphy, who only played, I think, 15 snaps, he was the highest graded offensive lineman according to Pro Football Focus when it came to the run game. And they were better in the pass protection the longer the game went. They struggled. It's not like they were giving up tons of sacks, but Caleb was feeling pressure. They just didn't look the part. And I think a lot of it had to do with the penalties that were way above normal. And one of the team captains had one of his worst games, and he admitted it coming up the field Saturday. They're not supposed to talk to us, but he saw me. He came by, gave me a little fist bump, says, dude, I sucked. I asked him what happened with, the whole snap to the midsection. He was just trying to give Caleb a wake-up call. Apparently there was some communication issues. So, like I said, I don't think Justin was making it personal when he snapped the ball and when Caleb wasn't looking. But it was a perfect snap because it put Caleb in the field position. That's exactly where you want to take the snap, at your waist with your hands ready. Well, hands weren't ready. I think Michael Tarquin had a really good game at right tackle. I'm giving the entire offensive line a C grade. I thought the interior of the offensive line was poor. So tackle's good, interior bad, or average. That gives you a C grade. The wide receivers, for the most part, I thought they were solid. They did have some drops. We'll get to that in here in a second. Brendan Rice, he caught 7 of the 9 targets, 133 yards, 2 touchdowns. And he had that one that I think is going to send a message to the rest of USC's opponents. He had that 43-yard touchdown reception. People need to understand, Brendan Rice has some speed to his game. He's not just a big dude. He can move. Zachariah Branch, let's just say he had a better day playing wide receiver than special teams, receiving kickoffs and punts. Freshman stuff. He's trying to make every play a home run. At a certain point, I think Mario Williams' playing time is going to be affected if he keeps making the easy play look difficult. He has got to catch the ball before he's ready to turn upfield. This has got to stop. Taj Washington, he had that blocking in the end zone pass interference call. Technically, he was, but he made up for it. He had his, he was only targeted twice, but one of them, 45-yard touchdown. They'll get it done. At least for me, maybe other professionals out there can disagree. It looked like the Arizona State safeties were playing a lot of too high coverage, or at least a similar scheme to what Oregon State did to USC last year. I don't know, was it a new look? Again, Caleb didn't look quite comfortable out there all the time when he was looking downfield. So I think with the wide receivers, I'm going to give him a B-. The tight ends, look, these guys, they do a lot of stuff that doesn't show up on the stat sheet, including playing time, but they are an integral part of the offense with their efficiency, especially in the run game. Only 2 played, Lake McRee and Jude Wolfe. I think Lake had 28 snaps. Jude got all of 7 snaps. He's going to get a catch one of these days. Maybe it'll be in Colorado. I'm going to give the tight ends a B for the stuff you don't see on the stat sheet. The offensive play calling, in my opinion, was really stubborn. I mentioned the delay of game penalties and the burning of the timeouts. There was one play where Caleb Williams was motioning to the sideline, trying to pick up the tempo. There was one time when he had to call a timeout and Caleb and Taj were making sure they were on the same page. Kind of looked like they weren't on the same page. They were having some communication issues. Taj looked a little bit more animated than Caleb. I made my feelings very clear about lining up under center near the goal line and then rolling out for a pass that doesn't work. If you want to send a message that you want to play physical football, that's the spot to do it in. Whether it's Caleb with the quarterback sneak or turning to hand the ball off, play action is not the best play call. So, look, regardless of what Arizona State might have been doing differently and giving their best effort, going up against a program like USC who's going to get everybody's best effort, what the Sun Devils could not stop at any time was the Trojans' run game. And that was ignored way, way too much. And it probably would have led to more points and less penalties had Lincoln Riley adjusted his play calling, including one less mistake in the communication process between two offensive captains. Talked about the snap to the groin. So as far as Lincoln Riley, I'm giving you a C grade. I was not impressed. I know you've got better inside of you. Do better. The Trojans are going to play Colorado on Saturday morning, 9 a.m. kickoff on the West Coast. And it's been shown time and time again that Colorado cannot stop the run game. All season, they've shown this. This would be a really good time to put up 300 yards on the ground and let Caleb play a supporting role. Again, I'm not the coach. Hey, Trojan fans, stop stressing out trying to get tickets. Download the Game Time app. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. Trojan fans, stop trying to plan months in advance. You don't need to do that anymore. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball's almost here, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and so much more. The Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 100% of the difference. It's the fastest growing ticket app in the country for a reason. Get images of your seat before you buy so you know exactly what to get when you get there. And you can buy tickets in a matter of seconds. 2 taps and you're done. Tickets are sent directly right to your phone. You never have to look for them in your email. So snag tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. The college football season is here, and this season, Locked On is kicking up our coverage each Friday. Locked On College will go live from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern on every Locked On College YouTube channel. Locked On College Football Live will cover the college football implications, the college rivalry games, and go in-depth like only Locked On College can, giving you insight and analysis from our stable of Locked On College hosts covering their team every day. Find Locked On College Football Live every Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern on any Locked On College YouTube channel. You won't want to miss it. Check it out here on Locked On USC. Look, you never want to throw the towel in too early, but we're getting close to the halfway point of the season, and these next 2 games are going to make Alex Grinch and his defense strain. They better. They're going up against 2 pass-happy teams, Colorado and then Arizona. Oh, by the way, that Arizona game, 7:30 p.m. kickoff. I'm going to talk about that on another episode of Locked On USC. Might save this for my Friday rant. Look, if you want to start to see progress and development with the tackling, it's got to start now. I'm not sure we're going to see that, though, on the defense. New players have arrived. Some have excelled. Others have been, they're trying to play better. I guess that's the best way to put it. Last year, the rush end position, it was a void, unless Tuli Apolotu was standing up over there doing the job. This season, though, actually, this has been a bright spot. It's been different. Jamil Muhammad, he's been a great upgrade. He's making plays every game. Romello Height, he stayed on the field. He's healthy. And he's beginning to play like an all-conference player. I mean, who did not love his Karate Kid Crane impersonation after he got his second sack? I mean, that was pretty cool. Yeah, he had 2 sacks in the game. Those 2 are playing well enough to keep the freshman on the bench. I mean, Braylon Shelby didn't even play. Sam Green, I think he saw time on special teams. Braylon's time will get here sooner rather than later, but when you've got Jamil and Romello playing as well as they are at rush end, you're gonna let them stay on the field and continue to play as well as they were. I will say there's still some stuff they can clean up with their run containment, sealing that edge. They'll get that figured out. I'm going to give the rush ends a B. I don't think anybody's going to argue with me that Bear Alexander and Solomon Byrd have been the two most consistent defensive linemen this season. If you've seen others who have been more consistent, let me know in the comment section. But I will adamantly disagree with you. But I think we need, and I think everybody will agree, we need to get a little bit more from guys like Keon Bars and Stanley Taufo and Jack Sullivan and Dejon Benton. These are all veteran guys. They need to step up, especially if they want to continue to be a part of the rotation. I mean, they were getting into the backfield, and the defensive line and the rush ends, the defense in general pretty much owned the fourth quarter. I'm going to give both the rush ends and the defensive line a B grade. Maybe the defensive line, I'll drop it down to a B minus. You guys decide. The three linebackers who played, Eric Gentry, Mason Cobb, and Tackett Curtis, they had a really rough go of it against Arizona State. There's no other way to spin it. Tackling was atrocious. So was the gap integrity. And why did the rotation get cut down to the point where Shane Lee and Rajon Davis aren't even playing? Not one snap at linebacker? It's not like Arizona State had a lot of perimeter speed. I'm trying to understand this one. This is another example of why the media wants to be inside practice more, so we have an idea of how decisions are being made. If the coaches are making the decision on who plays during practice, give us a chance to see who's doing it, who's getting yelled at. Trust me, I know how to report things without crossing the line. But there should not be these questions after the game saying, well, you've been playing them a lot these first 3 games. What happened in game 4? Especially when the guys ahead of them are struggling significantly. I mean, no defensive player took more snaps than Mason Cobb. And he finished with 1 tackle. That can't happen. I know he's coming off of injury. Watch the film. He did not look good. I mean, he's running 6-7 fields into the backfield, and the ball is 6 or 7 yards upfield. I know that's an extreme example, but that one really stood out. So why are you playing him all these snaps? Are you trying to get him back into football shape? Okay. But at the expense of the defense, looking poor? Also, I read one of the comments. I need people to stop thinking that I'm not picking on certain players. That's not the case. Listen more carefully. Watch every episode. I've been critical of all the players, including the freshman Tackett Curtis. How many times do I need to say he's played like a freshman? He needs to stop making the same mistakes. Again, I think people hear what they want to hear. Sometimes people have favorite players that they root for. I get it. Being critical and having constructive criticism is not an easy thing to do. Neither is giving compliments. I will give a compliment when it's due. I'm going to give the linebackers a C grade. The safeties, look, you'll get Kalen Bullock's interception in the highlights, and he almost had another one, but you'll also see him getting trucked trying to make a tackle. Same thing happened to Max Williams along the sideline after Bo Scadaboo left Eric Gentry in his wake. Max went in trying to, knock him out near the sideline with a shoulder, whiffed, unsuccessful. Bryson Shaw had a good game, although the one play that really sticks out in my head is that ball that went right by his ear hole when he had his head turned. Look, I get this is how they're coached, but I don't get how no one ever turns for the ball unless they're looking right at it, coming at him. I just don't understand this. Nobody gets their hands up. I think it was obvious that the coaches don't trust anybody right now because there was no player rotation. Your safeties were Kalen Bullock, Max Williams, the nickel, and Bryson Shaw. That was it. I'm going to give the safeties a C. They did something. They did enough to cover up for the mistakes. I don't know what to say about the cornerbacks position. I want to say something positive. Christian Roland Wallace I think he looked the best of everybody. He had a solid game. C.R. Wright did not. And I can't tell if Damani Jackson even played, even though I know he did. I know part of it is the scheme being left on an island, but once again, I'm not seeing any development. And we're getting close to the halfway point of the season. Things have got to improve. Cornerbacks, you're getting a C. Special teams, Dennis Lynch, you get an A. For the rest of the special teams, you're getting a C. And that's all I'm going to say. Alex Grinch, defensive coordinator. Look, the defense in the fourth quarter, congratulations. At some point, they need to own all 4 quarters. I'm sure his post-practice comments today will fill in the blanks, although I doubt it. And look, I can sunshine pump and say this is their first game on the road, and they'll play better next week against Colorado, and they probably will. But I don't care what kind of scheme you're running. That should have nothing to do with looking prepared and how you tackle. The high risk, high reward approach, with this scheme, it's got to be adjusted, period. You have to adjust it, or it's going to cost the team a loss. I want to say it won't, but if they play like that up in Oregon or even at home against Washington, despite Washington giving up 300 yards on the ground to Cal, they could lose. But at this point, I think we are at, cross your fingers, victory salute in one hand, fingers crossed behind your back in the other, and just hope for the best. Because I don't see anything changing for the rest of the season. But God, I hope I'm wrong. You need frozen groceries for the week, but you don't have time to go to the store. Try grocery delivery from DoorDash. You'll get everything you want delivered when you need it right to your front door. You've trusted DoorDash to deliver your restaurant favorites, and now you can get grocery delivery that actually delivers too. With thousands of grocery stores to choose from, you'll find the best in your neighborhood and boost your local economy with each and every order. You'll get exactly what you ordered, or we'll make it right. So just sit back and enjoy the groceries just like you picked them yourself. Want even more value? Cool. You can save on all your grocery and restaurant favorites with a $0 delivery fee on all eligible orders with a DoorDash membership. With easy substitutions right in the app and best-in-class customer service, DoorDash delivers groceries exactly how you want it. Get 50% off your first DoorDash order up to a $20 value when you use code LOCKEDONCollege at checkout. Limited time offer, terms will apply. That's 50% off your up to $20 minimum subtotal and $0 delivery fees on your first order. When you download the DoorDash app in the App Store and enter code LOCKEDONCollege. Don't forget, that's LOCKEDONCollege for 50% off your first order with DoorDash. So USC dropped in the polls. They dropped in both polls. They dropped to number 6 in the coaches poll. They dropped to number 8 in the AP poll. Here's your top 25. Georgia, Michigan, Texas, Ohio State, number 4. Florida State up to number 5 with their comeback win in overtime at Clemson. Penn State 6. Washington 7. USC 8. They dropped from number 5 to 8. Oregon 9. Utah 10. Oregon creamed Colorado at home. Utah beat UCLA in Salt Lake City. Notre Dame, they dropped to number 11 with that last second loss at home to Ohio State. Alabama jumps to 12 with their stunning win over Mississippi. LSU, Oklahoma, North Carolina 15. Wazoo, number 16, with that win over Oregon State. Duke, Miami at 18. The Beavers at 19. Ole Miss, number 20. Tennessee 21. Florida 22. Missouri 23. Kansas 24. And Fresno State 25. So, yes, USC deserved to drop. I don't know if they deserve to drop to number 8. But again, I think voters are starting to become less impressed with the lack of development of the team. There's too much, you look good, you look bad. You look good, you look bad. There needs to be a steady flow here. Look, people are saying, well, how come other teams aren't dropping? Well, other teams have played a better schedule so far. At this point, look, I said it last week, the schedule is not doing USC any favors. It is what it is. Everybody kind of sucks on their first 4 games. Arizona State should have been a blowout. It should not have been 42-28. It looks like a blowout, but USC's defense cannot be giving up 28 points to a backup quarterback and to a running back. That was their offense. The tackling, that's what they're being graded on. Not being in a position to make a play, that's what they're being graded on. It has to get fixed. And then USC will get the benefit of the doubt, even if the offense doesn't look good for part of the game. You can't wait till the fourth quarter to get 7 quarterback sacks. Eventually, Arizona State's offensive line was going to wear down. You need to wear them down before halftime. Again, Kenny Dillingham took over the play calling, the head coach. They threw everything at USC. Trick plays, misdirection, doing everything they could to make USC look bad. Mission accomplished. But again, as what I talked about in the first 2 segments, championship teams should not be calling timeouts coming out of a timeout. They shouldn't be burning timeouts because they can't get the play call in time. Does Washington deserve to be ahead of USC? They went on the road and they destroyed Michigan State. USC went on the road. They struggled with Arizona State. Michigan State, Arizona State are probably similar level competition. Michigan has looked solid at home. Penn State looked solid beating up a good Iowa team at home. We saw what Oregon did. They're still behind USC, but now they're only 1 spot. Utah, they're moving up, and they're doing it without a starting quarterback because they're adjusting their game to do what they need to do to win that game. I need to see that type of adjustment from this coaching staff. And until then, this is what's going to happen in the polls. It'll be interesting to see what happens after the Colorado game, because Colorado, they dropped, and they should have. I think most people agree they probably shouldn't have been ranked to begin with. We're going to find out if USC can do to Colorado what they should. Colorado cannot stay on the same field with USC. They got a few really good players, quarterback, a couple of wide receivers. They got no running game to speak of, no offensive line to speak of, no defensive line to speak of. USC has to win this game in impressive fashion on the road. All right, that's it. This episode took forever to get up. I apologize again profusely. I hate not being able to follow through, and I kind of felt like I gave you a USC performance with this episode, how they showed up against ASU. I apologize. Here's my Tim Tebow impression. That will never happen again. Anything that's under my power and my control, I will make sure to do better. So until then, everybody, till that next episode of Locked on USC, which will be tomorrow, you know what to do.